If you walk down many British high streets today, you'll notice a growing number of empty pubs with to let signs and boarded-up windows where there used to be warm, inviting spaces. Pubs have traditionally been at the heart of communities, but they are now facing serious challenges. Nearly 300 pubs closed in 2024 alone, about 6 each week, and the rate of closure is expected to increase unless something changes. These closures aren't due to a lack of customers but are driven by rising costs and taxes that many pubs can't manage. In the first half of 2025, over 200 pubs were either demolished or repurposed, and since 2020, over 2,200 pubs have disappeared from England and Wales. Pub operators are struggling with higher wages and national insurance contributions, soaring energy bills, reduced relief on business rates, and lingering effects from the pandemic, all while trying to keep their prices reasonable for customers. Industry groups highlight that for every £3 spent at the bar, £1 goes directly to taxes, contributing to hundreds of millions in extra costs for the sector. However, there have been some positive policy changes, such as draft relief, which reduces taxes on beer and cider, offering some support to struggling pubs. Pubs pay lower duty on beer poured through a tap compared to supermarket prices, but operators still feel this doesn't balance out the other financial pressures they face. However, closures aren't inevitable. Changes in planning law now give communities stronger power to prevent demolition or conversion without proper scrutiny. Additionally, a growing number of community-owned pubs and Pub Plus models, which diversify offerings, demonstrate how social capital can be turned into sustainable business models. Pubs create practical value for both businesses and communities by supporting local supply chains like butchers, bakeries, and breweries, contributing over £34 billion to the UK economy and supporting around 1 million jobs. They also act as hubs for micro-entrepreneurs and attract foot traffic that benefits neighboring businesses. Beyond economics, pubs that provide additional community services generate measurable social returns, with studies showing that every pound invested can yield around £9 in social benefits, such as reducing isolation and improving employability. This social impact helps unlock grants, sponsorships, and political backing. Policy support like draft relief makes beer in pubs cheaper than retail, while small producer relief encourages innovation and helps pubs broaden their offerings. Since May 2017, full planning permission is required for demolition or major changes in use, giving communities more control and the chance to use asset of community value listings to protect pubs, especially during sales or bids. In summary, pubs deliver economic, social, and place-making benefits that are hard to replace, creating real business value through revenue diversity, funding options, and strong community narratives essential for planning and investment success. Start by modeling your business rates early and appeal promptly if valuations don't seem right, using professional evidence to support your case. Take advantage of transitional reliefs when eligible and actively engage with your local authority about discretionary or hardship relief options, especially as COVID-era reliefs are being reduced or removed. That needs to be factored into your financial planning. On energy and procurement, joining buying groups can lower costs, and auditing seller equipment like glycol systems or remote coolers can reveal energy savings. Switching to LED lighting and using smart HVAC schedules also helps, providing quick, reliable savings in today's high-energy cost environment. When it comes to staffing, cross-train your employees across different roles such as bar, kitchen, and events to maximize flexibility and reduce idle hours. Partnering with local colleges for apprenticeships can also help manage rising wage and national insurance costs. Look closely at tax opportunities by maximizing draft relief on larger containers and low-alcohol drinks, and consider co-creating beers or ciders with small producers who qualify for small producer relief. This not only boosts margins but also creates a local story that can attract customers. Beyond the core wet and food offerings, explore ways to diversify revenue through community-focused services, which work especially well in rural and fringe urban areas. This might include mini shops, post office lockers, coffee windows, parcel pickup points, micro-libraries, warm space lunches, or repair cafes. Programs like Pub as the Hub offer advisory support and funding to help with setups that add social value and increase daytime use. Offering experiences such as supper clubs, co-working spaces, quizzes, music residencies, or family craft activities can draw in new customers and encourage spending. Flexible spaces are another opportunity. Turn underused rooms into rentable venues for activities like yoga or language classes, using dual-purpose furniture and soundproofing to maximize bookings. Finally, Simplifying your supply chain by featuring hyperlocal producers helps with margins through negotiated deals and sponsorships, while also providing rich content for social media and local press, strengthening community ties and your pub's unique appeal. Campaigning for Article 4 protections on clusters of pubs can help remove permitted development rights, ensuring any changes to these pubs undergo proper scrutiny. When a private sale risks conversion or when a pub struggles financially as a traditional wet-led business, community ownership offers a strong alternative. This involves raising community shares combined with grants and loans, managing the pub professionally with a skills-based board, and engaging volunteers where appropriate. This model creates a commercially run pub with community governance and access to grants, showing notably higher survival rates compared to traditional pubs. Examples such as the Bevy in Brighton demonstrate how community pubs can serve multiple local needs beyond just drinking, while the Old Forge in the Highlands shows this approach's success even in remote areas. Across the UK, the number of community pubs is growing, supported by targeted grants, especially in Scotland. Real-life strategies include adding village stores to attract daytime visitors, programming regular events with local beers to engage customers, collective ownership of multiple community assets like pubs, shops, and libraries to share resources and volunteers, and using Article 4 directions to require planning consent that protects pubs from speculative redevelopment. These approaches all help pubs adapt, stay viable, and remain valued centers of their communities. One way to support pubs is by diversifying their role as community hubs, which can attract new customers at different times of the day and reduce dependence on alcohol sales. This approach also strengthens connections with the local community and opens opportunities for social value grants, along with positive media coverage and goodwill from local councils. However, it requires upfront investment, can complicate fit-out and licensing, and demands considerable management time, sometimes causing a drift from the pub's core hospitality focus. Another strategy is planning-led protection through tools like assets of community value listings, objections, and Article 4 directions. These measures buy time by deterring quick asset sales or demolition and place responsibility on applicants to prove a lack of viability. While helpful, they don't guarantee continued trading or good management, and the process can be slow and contentious. Community ownership offers high chances of survival through long-term stewardship and access to grants, volunteers, and professional support, with programming aligned to community needs. On the downside, it demands strong local organization, significant capital, and professional management to avoid volunteer burnout and ensure sustainability. Policy engagements such as campaigning for rates relief, duty changes, and licensing reforms can bring fundamental financial improvements if successful, especially through coalition efforts, but outcomes are uncertain and time-consuming, potentially diverting attention from daily operations. To navigate these options effectively, it's important to start with a detailed viability diagnosis, including cash flow analysis, cost recalibration, and scenario modeling. Then, quickly pilot at least one new service, like a parcel hub or coffee point, within 30 days, seeking expert advice from supportive organizations. Finally, if there's a risk of loss, pursue protections through community asset listings and planning objections while working with local policies to safeguard clusters where pubs are vulnerable. Building partnerships can really strengthen pubs by working with local small breweries for both products and events, involving schools and colleges to create apprenticeship opportunities, and collaborating with health and well-being groups to offer warm spaces. Using evaluation frameworks from social value reports helps demonstrate the positive impact these partnerships have. If private ownership isn't working out, it's worth considering community options, such as approaching Plunket UK to explore a community share offer, backed by a solid business plan and a hired manager. In terms of policy, pubs benefit from alcohol duty reforms like the draft relief, which offers a tax break on pints pulled through taps, and the small producer relief that encourages collaboration with local brewers. These are useful points to highlight in local campaigns and investor communications. Operators are also facing rate increases, so lobbying locally for discretionary support and pushing nationally for rates reform that considers the sector's challenges is important. Since 2017, planning protections have required permission for most changes in use or demolition, serving as a key safeguard for viable pubs. Ultimately, pubs are much more than just treasured heritage sites. They act as economic drivers, support public health by encouraging social drinking over solitary habits, connect communities, and anchor places with a strong sense of identity. The wave of closures isn't due to a lack of customer affection or trade, but rather a combination of rising costs and a tax and rates framework that cuts deeply into margins. To address this, Pubs need to operate smarter by managing energy, labor, and procurement more efficiently, diversify into services and experiences that meet local needs, use planning tools like the 2017 Protections and Assets of Community Value listings, mobilize ownership through community shares if the market falls short, and advocate for structural reforms while making use of current reliefs such as draft relief and small producer partnerships. Saving pubs is both commercially sensible and socially beneficial. With clear intent and the right tools, what might feel like last orders can instead become a fresh start, securing jobs, strengthening communities, and preserving an essential part of British life for generations to come.